And namaste, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to speak. And definitely for anybody who's interested, they can go to my website, which is www.stephen-knapp.com or stephenknapp.info. And there's a lot of information there. A lot of people go there to get introductory as well as deeper levels of different spiritual knowledge. Or when somebody's asking for information, sometimes you can just say, go to this website and you can get started there. But anyway, on this special day, we could simply stand here and glorify the accomplishments of Swami Vivekananda, which are indeed more than most of us will ever be able to do. But I think it is also important to relate his actions to what we can do in this day and age. And when I talk about his mission, I'm not simply talking about the Ramakrishna mission or the Vedanta Society, but I'm talking about what each and every one of us individually can do to follow in his footsteps. So, therefore, we can glorify his accomplishments in a practical way by following in his footsteps. And he worked with tremendous energy for what I call the 4 Purs, which are, meaning the protection, the preservation, the promotion, and all of which is for the perpetuation or the continuation of the Vedic culture. This is extremely important and is what he showed us how to do. Therefore, it is imperative that if we really want to give honor to him, we also work in ways to follow his example and thus keep his work alive by our own initiatives. Of course, Swami Vivekananda was known around the world, especially for making the endeavor to come all the way to America, and then, through various difficulties and divine arrangement, speak at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago on September 11th, 1893. That event did more to introduce the Western world to the refined nature of Vedic culture than anything up to that time. And of course, everyone wanted to know more about Swami Vivekananda and what he represented. We have to respect him for this. After all, he did not have to come to America. He had plenty to do right in India, but he was called to do so. He had a great desire within him to help others understand the greatness and the contributions of what the Vedic traditions have to offer and have always given humanity. And we can think of what would have happened if he didn't come to America. Certainly, for example, I owe my life to people like Swami Vivekananda and others who came from India, such as my own spiritual master, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and who sincerely provided and spread the deep spiritual knowledge of Sanatana Dharma. If not for them, I'm not sure how I would have lived my life or how I would have turned out. Because for me, living in this material world never made any sense. It was only after I learned about the spiritual wisdom of the Vedic culture and realized what this purpose was for this life and this world. This is what has made all the difference for me. That is why I consider Swami Vivekananda to be what I call the first Vedic ambassador. He was the first to come to the West and show and then teach all who were interested about the Vedic spiritual perspectives, which many people were eager to hear. And there are still many people across America today who are still looking for deeper levels of spiritual knowledge, which means they are looking for what you have. They just don't always know where to look. This is why you can also act as a doorway to deeper levels of spiritual insights for those who are interested, those who are looking. And acting as a Vedic ambassador is what Swami Vivekananda showed us how to be by his own actions. So what is a Vedic ambassador. Simply one who can share with others what they know about the Vedic traditions and how it has helped them and how it can help others. It is very simple, really, but it is not about proselytizing. It is only about simply sharing what you know with others. But that also means you have to be educated in your own culture and be able and willing to explain it to others. We should not be timid. We should be proud of being part of one of the most profound cultures of the world. And we should not be afraid to let others know that we are part of Vedic Dharma, that we are followers of this. It was Swami Vivekananda who was very bold in this regard and went to so much out of his way to do this. Therefore, he showed us by example what we also should be willing to do according to our own capacity. Naturally, some people have more capacity, more facility than others. But the point is, we can all do our part. He showed us what to do, whether it was through spiritual practice, our own personal sadhana, or study of the Vedic literature, meditation, or teaching others who are interested, and even traveling to other areas of the planet to help out in this way, or even providing the means to establish ashrams and temples and classes so everyone can learn and participate. This was his life. This was his goal, all of which had been accomplished before he left this world. Now we should ask ourselves, what can we do as individuals in any of these initiatives? How can we help? Because if this was his mission, don't think it has died out. It only dies if we do nothing, if we do not participate. And we are obviously not going to let that happen. It particularly should be pointed out that he trained and taught both Indians and Western followers alike, and spent much time in both America and Europe to do so. And it was some of the Western followers who helped him establish, for example, his ashram in the Himalayas, and do other projects that were very important to him. This shows by his example that everyone has the right to understand this spiritual knowledge and participate in it, and help to preserve and spread it. There should be no discrimination in this matter. This further indicates, according to one of my own principles, that no Hindu should be left behind. In other words, anyone who shows a genuine interest should be welcomed, supported, and guided in the ways and means for learning and participating in the Vedic traditions. It should not matter what is their background, classification, or status, or caste, or anything, because Swami Vivekananda saw everyone and every living being as part of the absolute. All they needed was the proper knowledge to rekindle the awareness of their real identity, and that was an essential part of his mission. Swami Vivekananda was also extremely concerned that his own countrymen should understand and be a part of this great Vedic culture of their homeland. He went to great lengths all over India to hold interviews, discussions, classes, or building ashrams to do this. This means that we should also campaign in a way to help keep India the homeland of a dynamic and thriving in Vedic tradition. Swami Vivekananda considered the Vedic tradition as the mother of all religions. And thus India is also the motherland of us all. So we know who we are as followers of the Sanatana Dharma, and we know what to do by the examples of previous sadhus and sages. If we apply these principles to our lives and work in this way, not only will we make spiritual progress for ourselves, but we will serve humanity by supplying the ways where they can also develop spiritually. This was the mission of Swami Vivekananda and also of my own spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, as well as many others. So there is no doubt of what we should expect of ourselves. We may glorify him today, but we must not forget tomorrow. And if we act in this way with a concerted effort, we are not only honoring him today, but we will keep his mission alive. This will benefit everyone as well as many generations into the future. In my own experience, one of the most touching events that ever happened to me was when I was on a lecture tour of India and giving a talk in Vijayawada as arranged by the Pragya Bharati branch of the RSS. The chief minister was there, the mayor was there, with an audience of about 200. I gave a strong talk, culminating in asking the audience not to let me feel that I'm the only one willing to take a stand and raise my hand and say that I'm a Hindu and I'm proud to be so. And when I said that, many other people in the audience also started to do the same thing, standing up and saying, I'm a Hindu and I'm proud of it. Then, after my talk, one man came up to me and said, when you were talking, I felt like you were the return of Swami Vivekananda. Such a compliment. Even now when I think of it, it touches my heart that anyone would say such a thing. Of course, I don't consider myself the return of anyone significant, but I would say that I hope that within myself I hold some of the mood of Swami Vivekananda, such as his sincerity, his determination, his sense of urgency, that he felt in the need to do what he did for the protection, the preservation, the promotion, and the perpetuation of Vedic culture. We should all wish for that. In fact, personally, this is all that I'm working for. Everything I have and everything that I do is based on this premise. But we cannot do it alone. I cannot do it alone. It takes teamwork and support and cooperation from many people, all working together. So I must also ask that you give me your blessings so that I may continue with this work. And likewise, I give you my best wishes to all of you. It gives me great pleasure to spend time with my Hindu brothers and sisters in such an event, especially honoring someone as great as Swami Vivekananda. And if we all wish each other our best wishes and work in the same way as described above, it will create a great atmosphere of positivity, of great cooperation, of great power, and of Hindu unity, which I'm sure we all understand is one of the greatest needs of today. But this also creates a great future for our culture, not just for ourselves, but the very traditions by which we live. And when this is felt, I can assure you, many others will also want to join us and be a part of it. So kindly let us all work together in this way, using Swami Vivekananda as an example, and I can assure you, great things will happen. So thank you very much for listening to me. Swami Vivekananda ki jai, and jai Shri Krishna.